Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my Lost Ark Advanced Berserker Technique Guide. If you enjoy the content, please like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to check out all my other Lost Ark videos. Thank you. I've been postponing making this video for a while, but now that I'm a lot more knowledgeable about the class, I think it's time that I share the information that I've learned. So, for starters, Berserker Technique is actually very gear dependent, and I would not suggest this class unless you're able to craft your Relic set. Playing this class prior to crafting your Relic set is not optimal, and you're better off playing Mayhem instead. Now, there are multiple ways to gear your Berserker technique, but the most optimal way that I found is to craft 4-piece Dominion and 2-piece Entropy. Now, I would only suggest 2-piece Entropy if you know exactly what you're doing and you know how to position yourself properly, but if you don't, then go ahead and get 6-piece Dominion. But keep in mind that with Entropy, your attacks are not being boosted. Two of your attacks are not being boosted. Your Awakening skills and your Strike Wave. They're not being boosted by 55%. Instead, they're being boosted by 17% because these two skills do not have back attack modifiers. So if you're not getting at least 70% back attack on all your other skills, so your Finish Strike, your Tempest Slash, your Blood Rush, and so on, it is a waste and you should go 6-piece Dominion. But one thing I want to mention about 6-piece Dominion is that it doesn't do everything that it says it does. So the 2-set bonus is true, but once you get to the 4-set bonus, it repeats saying cooldown reduction minus 18%. That part is not true. At first I thought it was 18 plus 18% to give you 36% cooldown reduction. No, it's not. It's only giving you 18%. And in the skill damage, it says 10% for the 2-set and then another 25% for the 4-set. That's not true. You're not getting 35%. You're only getting 25%. And then for the 6-set, it says cooldown minus 30%. That cooldown minus 30% is only being applied to your movement skills. So your tumble and your get up attack when you get knocked down and you roll, those two skills are being affected by the 6-piece Dominion. And then the damage to foes plus 15%. Is true. You are getting that for 2 minutes. So let me show you real quick. So right now my cooldown reduction, my cooldown on tumbling is 7 seconds, right? But when I convert my gear to full 6-set Dominion and I roll, oh, let me burst. Now when I roll, it's 5 seconds. And here you can also see that the enhanced buff, movement skill cooldown minus 30%, damage to foes plus 15%, inner awakenings cooldown, skill cooldown minus 18%, and skill damage plus 25%. So it shows you there exactly what it does as well. Moving on, the next thing I want to mention is our engravings. For engravings, you want Grudge, Berserker Technique, Cursed Doll, Raid Captain, and Awakening. Now, a couple of things I want to mention. You want to be careful with Raid Captain because max movement speed is 140%, and at 140% you get plus 18% damage. But you want to be a little careful because certain bosses like Ice Turtle from Guardian Raid or even Vicus, they tend to lower your movement speed, so you won't always get the full damage from Raid Captain. So keep that in mind. The second thing I want to mention is that Awakening actually stacks with the Dominion set, because the Dominion set gives you 20% cooldown reduction on your Awakening skill. The Awakening gives you minus 50% cooldown reduction on your Awakening skill. There's kind of a lot of Awakenings going on, but essentially the cooldown from your Awakening skill goes down from 5 minutes to 2 minutes. But again, this depends on your swiftness, but it'll go down to about 2 minutes. Now this is perfect because the Dominion set buffs last 2 minutes, and this is super important because the reason of Berserker Technique is to be in burst mode as much as possible, as often as possible, as close to 100% of the time as possible. And another reason why this is important is because the chains actually give you a lot of meter. So the meter gain from here is about almost 50%, right? It really depends how much specialization you have, but it will give you minimum 40%, anywhere from 40 to 50% depending on how much you have, right? But when you have Sword, the other Awakening, Berserk Fury, you'll see here that it will give, what's that, 30% ish, about maybe 30%, I don't know, but you can see that it gives you a lot less. I would say maybe that's like 20%. Yeah, 25%, I don't know. but it gives you a lot less. So it's really important that you're using chains instead of Berserk Fury. Even though Berserk Fury does do more damage, Chain of Vengeance is just better overall in the long term, especially when you're trying to get back into burst mode like I mentioned before. So very important, make sure you use this one instead. When it comes to accessories, you're actually in luck. Getting Berserker Technique, getting the Engravings 5/3s is extremely cheap because nobody plays Berserker Technique, and I don't know why. It actually does way more DPS than Mayhem, and I think people just refuse to believe that. I think it's mainly because people from Korea said that Mayhem was better, so everybody just tunnel vision saying, oh, Mayhem is better, and they never tried Berserker Technique. So I don't think they know how much damage that they could potentially be doing. Like, sure, there's slight drawbacks, but those drawbacks aren't terrible. Like, oh, I have to use an awakening potion before I go into a boss fight, I have to spend 30 gold. That's fine, because buying a mayhem accessory is like 60k gold. So if I'm spending 30 gold a run, how many times do I have to use that pot before it equals one accessory for mayhem? So there's that. And one thing I like to mention is I use one swiftness ring, but this is only when I'm in Trixion for parsing. When I'm raiding, I usually just go full specialization build. So keep that in mind. The next thing to mention are your gems. For your gems, you want to get them all level 7. I would say level 7 is standard. Level 6 is acceptable, right? But you want to make sure you get them all level 7. All cooldown damage reduction on all your main skills, except for red dust. Red dust, you just get cooldown because the damage from all your other skills does way more in comparison. So for red dust, you only want to get cooldown, but everything else, cooldown damage on all your main DPS skills. For your cards, you want to get the crit rate set. This crit rate set is amazing. Unless you're able to get the Light of Salvation set, go ahead and stick with just this one, because Light of Salvation is almost impossible to get. A lot of people have it in the game, but getting this is not super realistic. But if you're able to get it, use it. But certain bosses are not weak to Holy. I don't remember if it's Vikings Gate 1 or Gate 2 that she's not affected by holy damage, so crit rate would be better in that scenario. It varies by boss, so keep in mind you can always change your card set, so you could just keep one there and keep the other one in the second set, in the second preset, and you'll be good. Now for the super fun part about this class, the skills, the tripods, and the ruins. Okay, it is a lot, so I'm going to try my best to not make it as confusing as possible. I'm going to be going between each skill back and forth, like I might go from this skill to another skill, but bear with me and I'm going to try to explain it the best way that I can. Okay. So, shoulder charge, you want to get it with quick recharge at level 4. I would only suggest quick recharge once you know the boss fight. If you don't know the boss fight, for example, Vikings came out recently. If you don't know her fight rotation, her fighting pattern, stuff like that, use protection. Because sometimes, like when you dodge out, for example, it happened with me all the times. Sometimes I would dodge out and I'll get hit, and I'd rather get hit and the shield takes damage as opposed to my HP taking damage, and then I have to use an HP pot, and then that's one less HP pot for me for the run. So when I'm learning, I use protection. Once I know the fight, quick recharge. Mind Crash. Now this skill here is very important, and you want to have it level 10. The reason why you want to have a level 10 is because of Earthquake Shock. Earthquake Shock hits 2 times, and because it hits 2 times, you get double the meter, and that makes a difference. That extra meter gain makes a difference. I'll show you the difference. Look at level 7, for example. At level 7, look how much meter you gain. Not that much. Okay, the reason why this makes a huge difference is because the more meter you gain from skills, the faster you get into burst mode. The faster you get into burst mode, the more DPS that you can do. Okay, so that's the reason why you want to have Mind Crash level 10. It makes a huge difference, and you want to use this in conjunction with legendary wealth ruin. That 40% makes a huge difference. I know it takes a lot of work to get all the Omnium stars, but they're 100% worth. And if you want to play Berserker Technique, you have to invest a little bit more time into the game in horizontal content so that you can make the class way better, like way better. Okay, And you're going to be using this with Focus, Swift Attack, Earthquake Shot, Legendary Ruin. Level 10 is a must. This one is actually a must. Okay. Red Dust. This one you can actually leave it if you don't have enough skill points. It's okay. You can actually leave it. You will do slightly less damage because you won't be able to get Red Wave. It's fine, but you can get it to level 7 if you don't have enough skill points. You can get to level 7, but make sure you definitely get damage amplification and vital point. This is very important, especially if you're using Berserker Technique 3, because of the 70% crit damage that you're getting. So you want to make sure that you're critting a lot of the time, and you want to be using Rage Ruin because of the movement speed. Sometimes when you use Red Dust and use Rage, it'll proc the movement speed. And this is perfect because it goes hand in hand with Raid Captain, because maxing out Raid Captain to 140% is actually pretty difficult. So if you have a support in your party that's wearing the Yearning Sight and you use this and it procs, you're gonna get the full 18% of Raid Captain, so you're able to do more damage during your burst. Super convenient. Next up is Hellblade. Hellblade, you want to use it with Leap, Melt, and Earth Flip. Leap is great to disengage and re-engage, such same way you use Shoulder Charge. So let's say you Shoulder Charge to get out, you can use Hellblade to get back in. Things like that. Very convenient. You want to use it with Gale Wind, Purple, because especially when you're out of burst mode and you're trying to get back into burst mode, this skill is pretty slow with the lack of attack speed. So you want to make sure that you have this. Finish Strike. This skill is very slow, especially when you get it with a Hand Strike, Weak Point, and Lights Out. This skill is very slow because of the Hand Strike, because of the 0.5 second increase. Startup, I want to say. So you want to use this at level 10. These main skills, Mind Crash, Hellblade, Finish Strike, Tempest Slash, Strike Wave. These skills you want to get level 10. Red Dust, Maelstrom is okay if they're level 7, but I'll get to them. But yeah, make sure you have this with Legendary Ruin. Again, it is time consuming, but you have to put in time into horizontal content, and it will pay off 100% in the end. Next skill is Tempest Slash. You want to get this with Quick Prep. The reason why you want to get this with Quick Prep as opposed to getting it over here. Wait, let me start over. For Tempest Slash, you want to use Purple Wealth with Quick Prep. If you don't want to use Focus, because you're using that Focus on Mountain Crash to make your meter gain 100%. I'll show off the meter gain rotation in a second, but first off, let me go through this so that hopefully it will make sense. The reason why you use Quick Prep here is because this is part of your main DPS rotation. This is one of your main skills. So you want to use Quick Prep, Weak Point Detection, and Driving Hit. Now, Storm Slash does do more damage, but I prefer Driving Hit because I'm able to use this skill and then use another skill quicker. So the damage per second will be a lot more because I'm able to go into Storm Slash, then I'm able to go into Red Dust, I'm able to go into Strike Wave. I'm able to use another skill faster as opposed to Storm Slash. And with Storm Slash, even though it's doing more damage again, sometimes the bosses just move out the way and you start whiffing. And if you're whiffing, you're doing no damage. So that's why I prefer Driving Hit, even though this one does more damage. Okay. Strike Wave, you want to have a level 10. Purple Gale Wind, Wave, Limit Break, Earth Flip is great. Now, a little tech that I want to show you guys, and the reason why I use Maelstrom is because I'll go over Maelstrom in a second, but the reason why I like using Maelstrom before Strike Wave is because when I use it beforehand, I'm able to get all 4 hits with Strike Wave. At least in Trixion, but in other bosses where you normally get like 1 hit, you'll get 2 hits. Where you're able to get 2 hits, you get 3 hits. Because Maelstrom actually puts you at the perfect distance. Like if I was to use Strike Wave from right here, I'm only gonna hit 3 times. The 4th one would whiff. Okay? So that's the main reason why I like using Maelstrom as well. And because I'm able to get that additional crit. Being able to get that additional crit plays a huge factor because I'm using Maelstrom with Vital Point. 35% crit rate. I need that. Okay? And I put Bleed Rune on here just so I can put more bleeding. A little bit more extra damage doesn't hurt. And Nimble Movement, because this skill is slow, you want to use it. Flame Spin. But again, you can keep the skill at level 7. It doesn't really make a difference. I mean, the damage here is whatever. It's not really important. And I was testing the Focus tripod on this. It really makes like no difference. It barely makes a difference. It's almost not even worth. So this is without it. This is how much it builds. And then with it, it builds like, it's not even that much, so it's not even worth getting. It's really a waste. So that's why I'll say you can keep it level 7 and use nimble movement, and it'll just be just as fine. Okay, now for the juicy, so the super even more juicy part. How do you get your meter, your burst meter, to 100%? Okay, so you know that this skill, your awakening, the chain, gives you, depending on how much specialization you have, it gives you close to 50%, more than 40%. It always give you more than 40, depending on how much spec you have. It'll give you 40, 45. But if you're gearing up in your relic set, you'll be very, very close. Okay. Now, if you do Mind Crash, Red Dust, Chains, Tempest Slash, Finish Strike, Maelstrom, Hellblade, into Stomp, you'll be 100%. Granted, this is with me having 1461 specialization, right? If you don't have this much specialization, which you should if you're gearing end game, this is for end game, of course. But if you don't, you can use Tempest Slash because it will be coming off cooldown. Again, this depends on how much swiftness you have, but in this example, I'll show you real quick. So I do the Rage proc, so I'm able to use my other skills. Right, easy. Now, I know I mentioned that I use Maelstrom first and then I use Strike Wave, but Strike Wave doesn't build me enough meter, or it doesn't build me as much meter as Hellblade does, which is why I use Hellblade instead. And then I save Strike Wave for when I'm essentially in burst mode. My Red Dust isn't about like a 2-3 second cooldown thanks to the gem. If I have a level 8 gem, it'll probably be off CD, so I don't have to auto attack. You can see like in my DPS rotation videos that I show it often. So one tip I do want to show that a lot of people don't really know about, your Bloody Rush, you can actually reset the cooldown of your Bloody Rush by using like awakening pots or stuff like that. So let's say for example your Bloody Rush is about to come off cooldown, you could do like Red Dust into Bloody Rush and you pop an awakening pot and you go back into burst mode. It's off cooldown, it immediately comes off cooldown, so you're able to get 2 Bloody Rushes in for essentially nothing, like because it goes off CD automatically. So that's one thing I like to mention as well, that a lot of people don't seem to understand whenever I post like a DPS video and they're asking me why am I starting off in burst mode. Well, there's never really a situation where you're not starting in burst mode, right? Because whenever you start a fight, there's a circle, and within that circle you're able to pick your battle items. You ever start off with using the awakening pot. So you use your awakening pot, you walk out the circle, you walk back into the circle, the pot comes off CD. So you start off the fight with 100% meter, and then when the meter runs out, you just use the pot again, and you already burst 2 times back to back, and that's it. Like, so when people tell me, oh, your DPS doesn't count because you're starting off with bursts, I just look at them like, what are you talking about? It's accessible to literally everybody, and you always can do it, and there's no drawbacks to doing it. Why not just do it? Yes, it costs 25 gold to use it every single time, like 25, 30 gold on the high end, right? But I'm okay with that trade-off. And the reason why I'm okay with that trade-off is because if I'm paying 30 gold or 60 gold, I'll run, okay? And every time I run, I gotta spend 30 gold, 60 gold. I'm okay with that because, again, Mayhem accessories cost up north of 50k. So I have to use like how many pots before I'm spending more on Berserker technique than Mayhem. Like, sure, over 10 years I guess I'll spend more money, but besides that is like, bro, really? Come on. So final thoughts. I do believe that Berserker technique is better than Mayhem, and that Berserker technique is also a lot cheaper to build compared to Mayhem. I still find it slight inconvenience in gameplay when I'm fighting mobs specifically. Only when I'm fighting ads. When I'm fighting mobs, ads, whatever you want to call them, that's where I'll say mayhem is better. But this game is centralized around fighting bosses. Like 99% of the time, you're fighting a boss or one of a boss when you're doing boss rush, raid, Argos, you name it. Guardian raids, you're fighting bosses. Only in Chaos Dungeons and Cube, before you fight the wolves in Volton, before you get to Volton, you have to fight those ads as well. Like in those situations, mayhem is better. For those 30 seconds, I would say mayhem is better. But besides that, Berserker technique is the way to go. And I know it sounds like really biased, but I truly believe that people who say Berserker technique is worse than mayhem, they just never tried it. They literally never tried it. I was in that same boat where I didn't try Berserker technique, and once I tried one day, I'm like, oh wait a minute, this is pretty cool. Oh wait, this actually does more damage. And I started trying it after mayhem was nerfed. So maybe prior to mayhem being nerfed, it was better, but now that mayhem is nerfed, Berserker technique is better. I would say for sure, like confidently, I'd say it's 100% better. And even those slight drawbacks where you're out of burst mode for 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds, maybe 20, bosses moving around, it's not that your character doesn't do damage anymore. I think people get that confused as well. Your character still does damage. It's just slower, slightly slow, but you're still doing damage. You're still able to do your skills. Your skills are still doing full damage potential. They're not being reduced by 20% or something like that. So yes, your attacks come out slower, but you're still able to do your rotation. So it's a little bit confusing when people say, oh no, BT does negative DPS. It's just, I don't know. I think it's all memes. I think they just don't understand the power of the class. But hopefully I was able to shed some light on it, and it will just be picked up more often and more people would play the class. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. If you like it, please like, comment, subscribe. Leave me a comment. Really, leave me a comment. I tend to respond to majority of my comments. So, and I actually have fun in doing so. It's pretty entertaining. Sometimes people open my eyes for different things, different rotations, different builds, things to try out. Or if you even want me to try a different build, like Nightmare Cell with Mayhem, let me know. Like I'm open to trying anything. I usually spend most of my time just parsing throughout the day. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, let me know. And until next time, later.